Hey everybody, welcome to another Bible study. I want to remind everyone as we go into this, I'm going to lay this foundation again and again, that the question that the Genesis account is asking is not the how. The how is not an interest. This is really the biggest issue we have with creation story and contemporary understanding and the debates that come around science and religion. We tend to think in our culture, we're mechanistic, we think that if we can figure out the how, we can understand the why. That's actually a fallacy. Just because you may understand the genomes and the genealogy and all of those things, how genes work and evolution, let's say you understand that, and let's say that's 100% true, and I'm not saying that because that's not my purpose here. My purpose is to say those things, even if they are correct, do not explain the why. In fact, our culture does not even try to explain the why. That's why we're in the mess we're in. The Genesis account, alongside all creation accounts in antiquity, are asking the why question. And it's writing this, the why. Why does God exist? Why is these things here? Why does it function the way it does? And it's always juxtaposed to the people around them, their stories about gods. This is good news vis-a-vis or juxtaposed to their bad news, okay? So let's remind ourselves consistently not to get trapped into the how questions. That's not its purpose. Let's let this text speak and breathe to us what it's supposed to say. So here we go. We're into the creation of lights in the expanse. Remember, the expanse is that ceiling. They would have seen it as a ceiling, the sky. Unfortunately, we translate it the expanse. It actually should say ceiling on the sky. Let there be lights in the heavens, the expanse of the heavens to separate the day from the night. Where we have this, obviously, we're going to get into the sun and the moon and the stars. Why is this so important? Because in the ancient world, as you know, astrology is a huge thing. People are looking to the heavens for signs and wonders and direction. They're looking at it. The gods are fickle. Each of the lights represents a god. If we can understand that, who you're born under, you still see that with what's going on with what do you call it? Those signs that we call like Libra or Cancer or whatever you call it, and people still go to their newspaper to read that. This is old paganism just being regurgitated. They looked to these things to direct their lives. What God's saying here is, I put this all together. This is my thing. They don't have power within themselves. This is a radical change from the thinking of the ancient world. Like, you can't get over how different this gospel narrative, this creation narrative is juxtaposed to these pagan narratives. So let there be lights in the expanse of the heavens to separate the day from the night. He's created, of course, time. And let them be for, now he says, therefore signs. This word signs is portents, omens. This is the word, what he means, but he's in control of them. He'll make the signs. They're all directed by him. Whether there's an eclipse or not, will all have to do around him. That's the point. So everyone believes in signs. He creates it. He'll make it for that, and be him to make the signs. He'll use it for that. And for seasons, these seasons happen to be not what you think of winter, fall, summer. These seasons mean worship seasons. Remember, God creates creation. You're going to find in Judaism that they celebrate the different seasons that God has given them in worship. So that's what he's talking about. And then for days and years, so the chronological calendar. We go. And let them be lights in the expanse of the heavens to give light upon the earth. So he's now given this. They are functional. Think about this as functionality. Don't think that they didn't exist before this, because how could he have light and darkness in day one? What he's saying here is, now I'm giving these things function. Remember, this is the why. And the only purpose for these lights is to give light to the earth. They don't have power. They're not gods. They're not fickle gods that are in battle with each other. On the expanse of the heavens to give light upon the earth. There's their function. That's it. That's all they are. And it was so. And God made the two great lights. Now notice he doesn't give them the name sun and moon. We know why he's not doing that, the writer of this, and God's breathed on this, because if he would have named it the sun and the moon were gods. Okay, that's the name of the gods in antiquity. So he just calls them great lights. It's interesting. So he dethrones them right there. He takes all the power. Any mythology around them is gone by just calling them lights. The great light to rule the day obviously means the sun, and the lesser light to rule the night. Now, obviously, they don't understand, and they don't care because it's not about the how that the moon's reflecting the sun's light. They're doing this from observation. That's not the concern of the Genesis writer. And the stars, these things are just created by him. What they observe is these things give off light, and God's saying, yeah, I gave them light just to keep you so you can see what's going on around you, so that this functions so you can live within this world. There's no power within them. That's the key point in this. God has created these things. All right, we're going to keep going. And God set them in the expanse of the heavens to give light to the earth, to rule over the day and to over the night. So these things, when it says rule, this language is that they have the control. They dictate. They function to dictate the difference between day and night. And to separate the light from the darkness, which is now in this case, you notice how God has control. Light being order, darkness is chaos, but he's also now switched it, and he's in control of this, and now darkness is being used by him functionally in creating day and time. And God saw that it was good. Remember what the good is. Remember what the not good is. There's only one not good in the creation story, and it says when man is not alone, he saw that it wasn't good. Not good means functionality, not morality. Doesn't have that sense. So it isn't, man's not immoral because he's alone. It's not functioning right. So when God sees it and he sees that these lights are useful for him in this way of creating an earth for us to exist in, he sees it's functional. All right. And there was evening and morning this fourth day. And God said, let the waters swarm with swarms of living creatures, and let birds fly above the earth across the expanse of the heaven. It's interesting here now, the waters, he talks about these great living creatures. Now, the language here in the Hebrew, we kind of lose in this interpretation, is that of Leviathan, great animals, great creatures. Now, in antiquity, the other creation stories have these creatures as always a threat to the human beings, always a threat to everything. In the creation story of Yahweh, they are not a threat. They're just playing in the waters. And that's what happens throughout the scriptures. They're not a threat. They're his creation. They have no power. They can't destroy anything. They may destroy something, but it's not because they have power, some sort of fearful thing. He's created them. Let them play. Let the birds fly above the earth and above the expanse of the heavens. So God created the great sea creatures. There it is. That's the Leviathan. The great sea creatures and every living creature that moves, with which the waters swarm according to their kinds, and every winged bird according to its kind. So the main point of this is not how did they come, but that he created them for purpose, that these things have their purpose in and of themselves. Creation has its own purpose. It's God's creation. He's created it to function in a certain way. And in this case, we're talking about the sea creatures and the birds of the air. And God saw that it was functional or good. And God, now this is interesting, and God blessed them, saying, be fruitful and multiply. Why would that be a blessing? Because now they get to be part of the creation process, right? I know this is going to come up in my questions, but it's a blessing, you'll notice. He blessed them because now they get to be, in a sense, part of the creation because they're going to be fruitful, and there's going to be creation going through them. And multiply and fill the waters and the seas, let birds multiply the earth, and there was evening and there was morning the fifth day. So, remind yourself this, that all that's going on with this creation of lights and the birds and the animals is all to say that he's in control. This is functional, and he's dethroning the pagan gods around them. All right, so let's get to the questions for this week. First question. The ancient pagan mythology says the sun and the moon as gods in constant conflict, and this is a constant thing, and you can see why. The sun disappears and the moon comes up, so they saw this as a continuous battle that never ends, and one is good and one is not good. So that's how paganism sees things, always very circular. How does the Creator God explaining his why with the sun and the moon? Oh, what did I say? How does the Creator God explain? Well, how does God explain his why with the sun and the moon? What purpose and in what relations are they used by the Creator God? Think of that in light of even though the astrology that still goes on, the way people still, even in our culture, look to the portents in the heaven. They look at the omens. They look at it as if they're control of them, that they can understand them. What God's saying is that's foolishness, that I'm in control of this, that I am the one who's... So anyways, I shouldn't answer the question. What purpose and what relations are they used by the Creator God? All right. The great monsters of the deep represent chaos and were greatly feared as agents of the god of the gods of chaos by the ancient pagans. In light of that, how is Leviathan presented in the creation story, and what does that say about chaos and evil in God's creation? I'll leave that with you. I think I already kind of answered it, but go for it. The birds of the air and the sea creatures are said to be blessed by God, which is really powerful language, when he says, be fruitful, increase in number, and fill the water in the seas, and let the birds increase on the earth. Why might that be a blessing? Well, I kind of already answered, but maybe you'll go in somewhere else. So remind yourself as you're doing this. This is a quicker Bible study because this isn't as big a text, a chunk of text, but this is an important part of the text as we continue to realize this is the why. And the question we have now is, why is these things together? Why are they purposeful? We live in a culture that has no why, that understands the how. And the reason it's being destroyed, including creation, and it is being under attack, is because people don't have a why to it. So they have the how, and they think, well, now we figured out the how, we can do whatever we want. And the question is, this is God's creation. He's blessed it. He has a functionality to it. This is his way. It's interesting to say that in Revelation, and you can go look this up yourself, there's one point that says that the enemies of God's creation are his enemies. God honors his creation. He's put things together, and he is going to resurrect and renew creation. What does that say to us? All right, have a great day.